I've been getting a lot of questions about the idea of PlayStation VR2 because, for the most part, I've been very silent about it. I just think the idea of VR, it's still advancing. I enjoy it. I've been playing some stuff in virtual reality lately, like Half-Life Alyx, but for the most part, something about PlayStation VR2 seems a bit unfinished. It seems a bit overpriced, and I kind of wanted to talk about the idea of PlayStation VR2 and why, even as a mega PlayStation fan, I am not going to buy it. What's up, gamers? DreamcastGuy here. Hope you're having a great day. If you could like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. Alright, we're going to take a deep breath. We're going to be calm. We're not going to start any console wars in the comments. So here's my thing. My entire problem with PlayStation VR2 really comes down to three major things. First and foremost, it really does come down to, quite frankly, that very high price. There was this viral article released last night that Bloomberg apparently has discovered that Sony themselves is actually shocked that more people are not pre-ordering the PlayStation VR2. In fact, they've cut their sales forecast in half due to these low sale pre-orders, and it's thought that this, in a major part, comes down to these high price tags. Now, this tweet, a lot of the replies are the fact that they wanted to get it, or they did get it, but stuff like this. In freaking Europe, it costs 800 euros to get the PlayStation VR2 bundle with Horizon Call of the Mountain. Now, I think that the price tag is appropriate in its own fashion. A lot of people who have actually used this device have said that the new ability of these controllers, the headset itself when it comes to a visual standpoint, apparently the PlayStation VR2 is a very impressive step forward for the technology. But man, I cannot get over the fact that this thing costs $550. That is a truly staggering price tag. And I say that as a person that talks about video games as a job. I am a person that has beaten a lot of freaking games. I try and platinum a lot of exclusives and stuff like that. This price tag is just insane because it's not like you get every game straight out of the box. You're paying, obviously, $500 for the PlayStation 5 itself, and then, of course, this $550 for just the headset, and then each individual game also, I think, costs $40 to $60 each. This is an incredibly high price to enter a very interesting developing world of tech. But my other problem comes down to the fact that, to be honest, I'm not really excited for any of the games coming to PlayStation VR2 as of yet. This is the launch window for the VR2, and a lot of these games I guess I'm interested in. I think Horizon Call of the Mountain is probably going to be at least very interesting. I think Gran Turismo 7 is a game that will be fun to play in VR. My biggest hype is probably projects like Resident Evil Village. I think that some of my favorite VR games end up being, horror experiences or a big first-person shooter. I like the stuff where it feels like a full, complete project that they give you a chance to play first person with motion controls. But a lot of these games, I'll be honest, Dark Pictures, Switchback, Tales from the Galaxy's Edge, no offense to Star Wars, but this is not worth the price tag to me at all. Even a game like No Man's Sky, as big and epic as that is, I just can't really be interested in it. Man, a lot of these games, straight up, Moss, Cities VR, Jurassic World Aftermath, I do think that a lot of people sort of overhate on the concept of VR. I think a lot of people still see it as a silly gimmick or don't even consider them to be real games. They're just, these little experiments. I think that VR has come a very long way. A lot of the projects that are coming out now that have been developed recently, I think are very big and honestly very impressive. I think VR is a wave of the future, but as it currently stands, I guess I'm just not excited because there's other incredibly good stuff to play on my PS5. Like, when I think about picking up the controller, I'm imagining my great times playing stuff like Final Fantasy VII Intergrade. I platinumed Crisis Core Remastered recently. I'm very close to finishing off Dead Space on impossible difficulty. Times like that, they're incredibly fun experiences that are already just 10 out of 10 good times. So when I start to think, okay, would this be improved by wearing a headset? To me, it just doesn't quite fit the bill. I am also a bit nervous about the idea of the future of the PlayStation VR2. The original PlayStation VR got a decent amount of support. It certainly had a bunch of good indie games, smaller studios putting stuff onto it, but it didn't really feel like PlayStation themselves was pushing it, was marketing it, was trying to make the PlayStation VR2 the biggest success possible. And I kind of think that might happen again. Sony, for better or for worse, they kind of throw out projects. They see if they explode in popularity, and if they don't, they kind of sink it. We saw that with the PlayStation Vita, which again was a very big, very expensive project. They probably spent tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars making a handheld practically the power of a PlayStation 3. And then when the pre-order numbers were flat, when the exclusive games weren't selling, they kind of just cut their losses and run. I guess I will probably jump on board with PlayStation VR2 in 6 months or a year, or maybe in 2 years, when there is a bigger back catalog, when there is a discount, when there is a bundle that actually makes it where you can get the headset, the controllers, and like 10 games. But as it currently stands, as much as I think the PlayStation VR2 is a nice advancement of virtual reality, for that massive, massive cost, this feels like a very, very expensive toy. I mean, I think maybe I'll have my mind changed. Maybe when we start to see the reviews for these games coming out, it'll completely blow me away. But as it currently stands, it's coming out in 3 weeks. It's about to be February. It's coming out at the end of this coming month. And I mean, I still feel like even PlayStation themselves has not been hyping it up that much. We haven't had a big sit-down talk about what makes this the future of PlayStation. I mean, I'm excited, but until we get a game like Spider-Man in VR, or maybe give me a full official support for something like Resident Evil 4 Remake in VR, that's the stuff that's going to get me on board. An enhancement of the experiences that I'm already excited to try. If you give me Dead Space VR, if they announce Dead Space 2 Remake and straight up say, hey, it's going to have virtual reality support for the PSVR 2, well then suddenly I'm probably going to pry open my pocketbook. But as it currently stands, I think I'm going to enjoy it as a spectator. Are you excited for the idea of PlayStation VR2, or is this just too expensive? Which particular game strikes your interest the most? I mean, even as a mega fan of something like Horizon, Zero Dawn, and Forbidden West, Call of the Mountain still feels like it might end up being practically an on-rails interactive movie, but I guess we're going to find out soon. Thanks for watching the video. If you could like this and give it a subscription, I would appreciate that. You guys rock, and please keep dreaming. As I film this video, it is 22 degrees. I am freezing. Man, I hate the cold. Have I mentioned that? I absolutely hate the cold.